I was chuckling yesterday with the Pinterest board.
Yeah.
Well played.
Oh, I went into a fucking
dive.
I went into a dive. Wait, let me get the name. I gotta get the name of the Too Short video before I.
Oh, good.
Okay, got it.
Oh, cool, cool. I'm like, first of all, very honored, very excited, but I'm like, oh my God. I saw that yesterday and I was like, well played, Emma. I don't know you very well, but I like where this is headed because the fucking Taylor Strucker Facebook page has gone so insane.
Has it?
Wait, did you hear about the catfish that we found?
No.
Oh, there's been like a racist like bot troll.
Oh, I saw something about that, but I didn't.
And I was like, this does not. I'm like by myself alone on the couch on Saturday watching this like weird Hamilton thread transpire because I'm bored and I have no friends. So I'm like, whatever, I'm going to watch this. And this woman, quote, Mary Case, always said she was Black, but would say the most like anti-Black shit I've ever. I was like, this is feeling real funny to me. And then all of a sudden it like comes out that it was a stock image of it. And the stock image, this is the best part, is filed under on like stockimage.com, Hispanic woman on the beach in Miami. And I was the one that was like, I said to some fan, whatever, this girl, Ashley, or like listener, I was like, dude, every picture on her Facebook is a different person and they're just racially ambiguous. I don't think this is a real person. She's like, no, I'm sure it is. And then we reverse Google imaged it and it was a total bot crazy person. And I talked about it on my episode with Taylor. It was great. Anyway, that's it. Tell me when you want me to go.
I'm doing it. All right, go for it. Today I'm talking to producer, host, and she's Today I'm talking to producer, host, and featured in Too Short's video, You Came to Party, Liz Culley. How you doing?
Oh, wow. You know, Emma, thank you for having me.
Of course.
That was by far the best way I've been described ever, introduced.
Well, I have a Too Short connection as well.
You do? Good old Todd. He gets around, that guy, let me tell you.
So it's not, the connection's one-sided, but...
Oh, okay.
Just on my end. So I originally wanted to be, when I was wanted to be in entertainment, thought I wanted to do A&R for like hip hop music. This is when I was in high school, and I loved some of Too Short's. What was his song? Blow the Whistle.
Yeah.
So I loved that song. I listened to it all the time. Like I was into it, and I kind of forgot about him. That dream went away, and then when it started popping up with your connection to him, and I almost interviewed him one time. This is what it was. He'll
go on any show.
Not the one I was doing.
Are you sure?
So this is what happened.
Okay, sorry.
I was at the new school too, and
we both went to the new school.
Yes,
Emma and I both did.
We both did different times. I sent an email. I didn't actually have a show at the time. I sent an email to someone he was working with because he was going to be in New York. I said, hi, I have a radio show, which was a lie. Love to interview him. They said, can you send us info? And then I made up something, and then I never heard back, but I wanted to interview.
Was it David Weintraub that you emailed?
I don't know.
His longtime manager, who, by the way, just to give your listeners some fun fact about him.
Please.
David is a really interesting character. I dealt with him when I was booking Too Short for one of my many weird endeavors. And he is the one that created Celebrity Rehab, which Too Short has been on. Also, DMX is like brilliant on Celebrity Rehab, or maybe it's on, or it's like relationships. You know, they have like all those offshoots on VH1, that show from back in the day. And DMX, oh my God, bless his heart. Like my wife and I now to this day, every time we hear like, like DMX, we're like, oh my God, because he has so much attachment issues. Like with his mom. Oh my God, it's brilliant. Anyway, David created like all those crazy fucking relationship rehab shows and is Too Short's long-term time manager and is an interesting character in himself, but David will fucking put Todd in anything. So
does he represent other rappers?
No rappers, but no rappers, but like all these random fucking like reality celebs, like random ones.
I know some managers because the guy who does what's his name, Tiger King's husband, he also represents a bunch of people from Love Island. And I was like, oh, that
classic.
guy. Yeah, classic. So you started acting at a young age. I wanted to ask what you were like as a little kid.
I was exactly like how I am right now. As a little kid.
Really?
I was one of those like weird adult kids.
I know the type. Were you like using
You
big
know?
words?
Yeah, like fuck. I used big words a lot. I am the youngest out of 4.
Wow.
My mom was 40 when she had me. My dad was about to be 50.
My mom was 40 when she had me too.
Oh my God. We actually have a
Yep.
lot in common, you and
Yeah.
I.
Maybe 39, but close.
Yeah, same.
Same.
So I just grew up. I think my parents, by the time I was born, were like, oh, well, my mom always loves to remind me that I was, quote, not supposed to happen and, quote, unplanned.
Why do they do that? Like, is it just they want to be honest? My mom told me the same thing, and I remember it, and I remember being like, what? Because she was like, your sister was very planned, and then you were a surprise. And I was like, you mean an accident? And she's like, what? Tomato. And I was like, I don't want to.
I mean, my story is my mom's like, I didn't know I was pregnant with you until I was 5 months pregnant. When I found out, I hysterically cried, went and had 3 martinis and bought myself a fur coat. And I'm like, what?
What do you think she wants you to do with that information? Was it just kind of like, so you should feel lucky that you're here? Or what is she hoping to get out of that?
You know what, Emma, if you could find out what my mom is trying to get out of a lot of the things that she says to me, I would appreciate it. I don't know. I mean, my mom is a ham in her own right, which is probably why I am the way that I am, and ignored me and left me. So I really needed attention.
Was she like that with your other siblings, or was it just something that she was like, were your other siblings boys or girls?
Yeah. So the 2 oldest ones are from my dad's first marriage, but my mom and my dad's ex-wife are all on good terms. She actually came to my wedding.
Nice.
I'm on great terms with her. They were very young when my parents got together. So, she was very much involved in their life, but she was also like their stepmom. So I think that there is that, difference there. You know what I mean? Like whatever. And then my brother is only 16 and a half months older than me. She didn't really want to have kids in the first place. She just wanted to be a stepmom. And then they decided to have my brother, Richard, who's also gay and crazy and lots of fun.
Your brother's gay too? Who came out first?
He did. I'm a late bloomer. I didn't come out till like way late.
I was reading about that. I mean, you know what? I always think if I hadn't gone to a women's college and I did know I was gay, but it was I was kind of yanked out. Like when we were talking about when I did your show with coming out, I felt like I completely empathize. It's very hard to navigate. So there's a lot of reasons someone will come out later, but I really empathize with that.
It's not easy, but
it's not easy at all.
So anyway, Richard and I were so close in age that we were just kind of like pushed together and everything. But yeah, I mean, they kind of treated us, I guess, all the same. I don't know.
Did you guys get along? Did you and Richard get along?
We did and we didn't. Now we're very close, but he like threw me down the stairs. I mean, it's like classic kid shit. I mean, we didn't really hang out. I was definitely a lot edgier hanging out with people like Too Short in high school, and he was not.
In high school?
Oh yeah, I've known Todd for, how old am I? I'm turning 35 in a day. So
congrats.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I've known him since I was like 15, 16, 20 years.
Wow. And because when I was listening to one of the interviews you did with Taylor Strecker, and you were talking about how you and Taylor used to go to nightclubs.
Yeah.
You were 15.
That's when I met Too Short. It was when Taylor Strecker and I met in acting school as kids in a summer program. When I was 15, Taylor Strecker, for those of you who are listening, I'm sure you know because Emma's close friends with her, but radio
Taylor
personality. Hey girl, hey.
Hey.
She was 17, and yeah, I was a bad kid. I mean, so that's 15. What I'm saying. I was like an adult when I was a little kid. I used to do, and I'll wrap up that story for you, but Please. I basically would do like, my dad's from New Zealand. So, and they had a very interesting, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. My parents, city people, they had like an eclectic group of friends. And what I would do is.
And why San Francisco, do you think?
It looks exactly like New Zealand. That's why I know my dad moved there. My mom moved there. I don't know why. I can't remember. She just moved there in the late 60s. My mom's from Pennsylvania. But
weed. Does she smoke reefer?
She doesn't.
Oh, huh.
I've been giving her a lot of CBD in her old age, but she didn't really smoke weed. My mom loves vodka.
Oh, She'd get along
as
with
most waspy people do.
Yeah, she would get along. Because my mom went to UC Berkeley in the 60s, and I think she was smoking a lot of weed. But so your parents went there for their different reasons. They meet.
Yeah, they were like squares. Anyway, but what would happen when I was younger is I would come up, they would have these huge dinner parties all the time. My mom was a pretty good cook back then, and whatever. They just loved to do dinner parties. And I would come upstairs like when I was 1,000% supposed to be in bed, and I would do impressions of all of the people there, like drunk fools. And I'd be, my dad is from New Zealand. I do a terrible Kiwi accent, but I'd be like, like heaps and heaps of turkey legs, like whatever. I would just like fuck around and choose somebody and start ripping them to shreds.
They must have loved it.
They thought it was pretty funny. So that's what I was like as a kid. And I was also very sensitive, which I still am. That's why I'm like, I'm the same thing. I'm the same as I was at 5.
When you started going out to nightclubs, like how were you starting to finagle that? Were you like, I got to get a fake ID and you're just drawn to it? Or what planted the seed that you want to go to a nightclub?
I know you love the nightclub thing. Okay. So when I was in like 8th grade, I was friends with like juniors and seniors in high school.
Which is like the thing to do. Because that when you're in 8th grade, I mean, that's like, that's a cool. I
was cool.
That's fucking cool, man. But that is like, it's a certain type of, I don't know how you did in school, and I'd be curious about how you did academically, but that takes, to be friends with people that are older than you in that age range, is a social, emotional intelligence too, because it's a lot of, it can be like strategizing and just who you're connecting with, because there's like a capital put. When you and Taylor were talking about how she was like, I was 17, you're 15, and you both said that's a big years when you're those ages. For that 15-year-old, you are fucking winning. Each 1 year that you're friends with, that the person's older than you, up till they're like 21, then it starts getting super, maybe a little sketchy. You're winning.
It was all sketchy, Emma. Well, I think it was interesting because the people, which by the way, I'm still friends with those people.
Okay.
Like a lot of them.
So it's not like only a couple years isn't sketchy. It's not like you're looking back like, why were you talking to me when I was that age?
Yeah, I mean, well, I went to an all-girls school, like a Catholic, Common of the Sacred Heart. Paris Hilton went there. So did Lady Gaga.
Did you know Paris Hilton?
I was in San Francisco.
Oh.
No, but I've hung out with Paris Hilton she's lovely. The rumors are true. Paris Hilton is the best.
I didn't know those were the rumors. I didn't know that.
No, it is.
Oh, my friend.
The rumors are that she's great and that.
Oh, that's cool.
But you also have to put it in a context of like what we're talking about. Like,
sure.
Paris Hilton, for what you think and what she can give, is great.
Okay, that's my friend that met her said the same thing, and I did not know that was her reputation, actually.
Yeah, her reputation is like lovely, and she is.
Huh. So you went to the all-girls. I
went to an all-girls school, but I wasn't cool with the like pretty skinny, like that kind of crowd. Like they obviously probably because I was a closeted homo, but I wasn't cool with them, but I found like the misfits and like the drug people and the artists and whoever. Sure. And like, that's who I was friends with. So when I was in 8th grade, I became friends with a couple of sophomores and juniors, and they would just take me to like all the house parties.
How would you meet them?
Because Convent had a high school.
So it'd be like you'd all be kind of like.
So I knew some of the girls, but a lot of girls they all talk shit about. A lot of people were like, "Fuck her, she's so young. What's her like?" A lot of people. In fact, one girl who follows me on Instagram who constantly asks me questions, I punched her in the face when I was in 8th grade.
Damn.
Because she talked so much shit about me, and I was so mad, and I punched her in the face.
And also, why are people giving you shit saying what's wrong with her? She's so young. It's like you should be the last person to absorb the tension there. It's like, I don't know. Why are you getting mad at someone who's so young? You fucking psycho. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. It was weird, and it's so funny because now she desperately wants to be friends. And I'm like,
nah, bitch.
I like socked you in the face in Alta Plaza Park. Don't think I forget.
Did you get in trouble for that?
No, because it was after school.
Okay.
And also, who's going to want to say a 13-year-old socked you in the face? Like, get out of here. With my like puff jacket. Oh, Jesus Christ. That I got at like Marshall's. I will never forget. It was bright yellow. It was Tommy Hilfiger.
Oh, you must have. Yeah. Walking right out of a music video. Yep.
I was like, yep. I can't stay in the rain.
Yes.
Anyway, so I don't know. So I hung out with these people, and then those people knew. I mean, San Francisco is a really interesting city because it's 7 miles by 7 miles. So you can have neighborhoods like the Fillmore district where was a lot of famous rappers from Fillmore. There was a lot of housing projects there.
Mm-hmm.
So predominantly, definitely mixed in terms of cultures who live there, white, black, a lot of Japanese and Chinese. And then that neighborhood was buttressed up against like Pacific Heights, which is where my school was, which is way more white, which is more affluent. So like you walk a block and you're in the Fillmore. So you know what I mean? Like, or if you keep going, you're in the Haight, and then, you know what I mean? Like, so there's all these different neighborhoods. So you meet a lot of people as a city kid. And I think San Francisco kids in particular from that time, because San Francisco no longer exists what I knew. Like,
I was going to ask you about that. Also, I'm very impressed with your use of the word buttress.
Oh, thanks.
Does that mean right up next to something?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to use that in a sentence later. I'm going to.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm going to buttress. I'm going to buttress my sandwich next to my salad.
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
So, there we go. So because San Francisco back then, I mean, San Francisco started to become I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts right now. That's where my mom is. And the tech industry, what it has done even in the past 5 years here, it's reminding me of San Francisco a little bit. And it's just so expensive. So San Francisco I've been there more recently. It doesn't feel sterile like it does here, but it's changed so radically.
Oh, it feels sterile to me. It's such a bummer. Like, actually, a movie that if I can recommend one for you and your listeners, it's fantastic. There's an indie film called The Last Black Man in San Francisco that came out about a year ago. Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it. I've heard of it. I just heard someone talk about it. You recommend it?
Beautiful. Oh my God, I highly recommend it. Actually, that kid Jimmy who wrote it and stars in it, his director. Those kids are a couple of years younger than me, but I kind of like, again, San Francisco's so small. Like I knew one of their brother, whatever, but they really captured, I think, what happened to San Francisco, in particular to Black families who have been there for generations. So I really recommend you guys watch it. I watched it on a plane because I love to cry on planes.
Yeah. Why is that? But that's a thing. That's a thing. People do that.
It is?
It's a thing. And it's a thing enough that someone posted about it on Facebook and then people were like, that's a thing. And someone said, probably a guy being like, I do it, but it's because of the altitude, makes you more emotional. I don't know what the connection didn't really
I hysterically cry on planes every time.
It's supposed to be a thing. I'll cry easier on planes too. We're getting less oxygen to our brain. I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
I also took an edible and watched the movie Coco, which was like a really bad decision. And I hysterically cried, and it really spoke to my soul in ways of Pixar or whatever Disney DreamWorks. I don't know what it is, but it really got to me. But anyway.
What do the flight attendants do when you're sobbing?
Oh, it was hysterical. I took an edible with a girl that worked for me. We were coming back. I used to work in beauty festivals, and we had produced this like 30,000 person festival, and I quit that morning. And I was like, fuck it, let's take an edible. I've been like drunk for days. Like, this will be great. And I had the exit row, and I lied to the woman sitting next to me. And I said that this girl who worked for me was my little sister. And we were so high. We're like, okay, we got to watch Coco at the exact same time, but let's share like ear pods. And all we did was like, kind of hyena laugh and then hysterically cry the entire 4 or 5 hour flight. And people were just like, I don't know. I think people were just kind of like, these fucking white people are lost their goddamn minds. I don't know. Who knows?
We need to do it together. We got to watch it together.
But yeah, like, so the nightclub thing, I mean, San Francisco was just different. So we, there was a place, there were just like little indie nightclubs that you could get into, like the ones I took Taylor Strucker to that no longer exist. And like, I didn't have a fake ID until I went to school on the East Coast. And
really,
like, they would just let you in.
When you were 15, were you getting all dolled up so you looked older at least? You must have. Yeah. Would you lie about your age?
All the time.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
All right. I think I started saying I was 15 when I was 13. I mean, it just kept going on and on and on. I would lie. And then the cool thing about San Francisco is there was a network of corner stores that would allow you to buy cigarettes and alcohol.
Oh, at the time, that does seem like it's the shit.
Wait, actually, I have a really funny story I've never told. I have to
love to hear it, please.
You're going to die. I hope this is as funny as it was in real life. So there was like a network of Easy Freezy, Oak and DeViz. There was one on Hayes and Steiner. The one on Hayes and Steiner, I used to go and buy Parliaments and and blunts, like
at 15.
Swisher Sweets. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to smoke
Swishers.
cigarettes too. I mean, what's 15? Sophomore in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sophomore, junior. Yeah, I used to drive around, smoke cigarettes. God knows fucking what. I mean, I
Yeah.
wish I
We would
didn't
just
do that.
roll blunts, Swisher
Right.
Sweets, Garcia Vegas, you know. So I used to go to this one corner store, and it was this Middle Eastern family that owned it. They were super nice. The dad was there, and then he had 2 sons.
Mm.
And so I went to boarding school, not because I was a bad kid, but because I was a bad kid, but because I got accepted into this acting program. We talked about me
Right.
acting as like a young kid or whatever.
Yes.
And I went my sophomore year. So this is the summer between sophomore and junior year. And I would come back to the city, buy fucking cigarettes, and go hang out with my degenerate city kid friends.
So you
mostly who had gotten, oh yeah, go ahead.
So you weren't going to high school with the same crew that you were making friends with when you were younger. Okay. Got it.
No, because I did my freshman year and then I left to boarding school. And then quite frankly, they were all graduated by the time I was a sophomore anyway. So it was whatever to me.
Right.
So I would come back. Half those fools would be like in city college or just doing whatever the fuck they were doing.
Sure.
I worked in the mornings at this little store. And then after, when I would get off, I would walk up to one of these places and I would buy fucking blunts and cigarettes and what have you. So the owner had these 2 sons, and he'd always be like, oh, you've got to meet my son or whatever, like super typical, like lovely man, whatever.
Right.
I was like, okay, like whatever, like give me that fucking Swisher.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Like I'll take a great flavor. Like, thanks. So, and like, don't forget the like strawberry belts. I love strawberry belts. It's my favorite candy. So anyway, he kept mentioning his son. And then one time I go in and he like yells to the back, his son, and I don't remember his name, which I feel terrible about, but he yells to his son comes out and he has sunglasses on. And he's like, this is my son who I wanted you to meet. And I'm like, okay, like, hey, what's up? Like, whatever, like, see ya, like, do, whatever.
Right.
Like, let me click my CD back into my like Sony, like
yes,
Walkman,
yes.
my mixtape, listening to Too Short, doing whatever the fuck I was doing.
Yes, and then you got to like put the CD in something so it doesn't keep falling. Did you have a fanny pack? What'd you do? How'd you just hold it?
I had a Jansport.
Yeah. Oh my God. I forgot about that. And then
right?
putting it in and out and like doing it in a way so you can put 2 CDs in one sleeve and then they don't scratch and you got to take them out and put them
back
in.
to back. Oh, yeah. Buttressed up against each other.
Buttressed up against each other. Yep. Buttressed up. Yep.
I would just keep going. Like they were so nice, but the son I would notice would always kind of be around when I would get off work and whatever. So it always wore sunglasses. I was like, this is so weird. Finally, his dad is sitting there one day and he's like, go ahead, ask her.
Oh.
And he's like, would you like to go out on a date with me? Still has the sunglasses on. And I've never been on like a real date before because I'm like 15 turning 16 or whatever. So I'm like, okay, sure. Well, great. He's like, okay, I'll pick you up. And I'm like, no. Like, you are not picking me up at my parents' house.
Right.
I'll meet you at the fucking corner store and then we can do whatever you want to do. I meet him at the corner store. We get into his little tiny Honda Civic. It was navy blue. And he drives me and we're starting to drive outside of the city. And I'm like, cool. Uh-oh. This is where I die.
Right. This is the end.
Fantastic. And I'm in the car being weird. He drives me to his parents' home in Daly City, which is right by the fucking airport. His entire family, all of them are there.
And they're like,
and they're like,
it's the blood girl.
Yeah. It's like, they're like, here she is. And I'm
right.
like, what the fuck? I'm like meeting everyone. I'm like, this is crazy. By the way, this is my first date.
First lesbian date too. This guy pulled a lesbian. This guy was like, I mean, this is your first. This was going on lesbian dates even when she was dating a guy. Like,
right? I mean, this was so crazy. So I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. It was like fucking precursor to U-Haul Central. So I was like, what the fuck? So then he's like, I'd like to take you out to dinner. I'm like, I'm not really that hungry. We were supposed to go to see Shrek, the movie, the first Shrek, at the AMC 1000. On Van Ness. Anyway, for anybody from San Francisco.
But he had to take you on this huge detour to go meet his family first.
Which was like 45 minutes away. So I'm like, this is crazy. He takes me to a restaurant. It's shut down. It's his uncle's restaurant. Now, I eat pretty much everything, but the only thing I will not eat is lamb. I can't stand the smell. It's disgusting to me. I love other meat. I know you and I talked about how you love meat, Emma.
Yes.
But like, I just couldn't. So I'm like sitting there, but I was also raised like you eat whatever somebody serves you no matter what. Like if you got to go throw up later, you do it and you do it quietly. So I'm sitting there eating this gyro of lamb, like, like about to throw up. Still has sunglasses on.
And he doesn't acknowledge it at all. He doesn't say.
Well, I'm kind of like trying to look under the sunglasses. I'm like, this is really strange.
Because he's blind?
Just wait.
No, because he's driving.
He can't be blind because he drove the little fucking Honda.
Right.
So then we're like going around and we're sitting there. And by the way, we're outside on this park bench at this restaurant that's been closed, but his uncles have opened it. And his uncles are chain smoking cigarettes staring at us. And I'm just like, this is honestly the craziest, but whatever. And I look at him and I'm like, hey, can we like go so I can like smoke some weed? Like I'm such a bad kid. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is crazy. And so we get in the car, we drive back to the city, and he's like, yeah, like let's pull over. A lot of kids in San Francisco and I'm sure in other cities will like drive to like a pretty view to like smoke a, because doing drugs in your car and driving and operating a ton of fucking glass and aluminum or whatever is a very smart idea.
It's a true pastime though. It truly is. I mean, I have so many memories of doing it where you just drive. If only we could be so naive to be like, hey, you want to meet up? And we'll just go drive somewhere, get fucked up looking at a pond and then leave. Like, that's so lovely. Couldn't do it now. It's those times. Yeah. Just like sitting there. Did you use the term clam baking? In Maine we did.
No, but I love that.
It's like you're in a car. It's hot boxing.
Oh yeah, it's a hot boxing clam bake. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I learned that on the East Coast. Yeah.
So we clam bake and then do that. But so you said.
So we go to clam bake.
Okay.
And this motherfucker, I was like, do you mind like just removing those sunglasses? Because like now it's getting weird. Literally, okay. Takes off the sunglasses, and he has a glass eye.
Wow.
And the glass eye is not flush. And it's kind of like rolling around.
Son of a bitch. How'd you react in the moment? Were you like, oh?
I was like, cool.
Yeah, that's great. This is great.
Because like, I don't
what
think
do you
anyone
do?
preps you for a glass eye. I just didn't understand. I was like, oh, word, like, okay, cool. You know, me again, I'm a very sensitive person, so I was like, okay, everything's fine, no problem. Like, Anyway, we go to Shrek.
Did he acknowledge the eye? Was he like, so the thing is, I have a glass eye, or was he just like, here it is, baby?
Well, he didn't really say anything at first, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's great to, like, be intimate. I don't know. I probably didn't say that. Who knows what the fuck I said? I'm 15, 16 years old, stoned off my ass, and I'm looking at a person with a glass eye that's rolling around in their face.
Trying to figure out.
It's, like, protruding out, though. It, like, wasn't flushed, you know?
He didn't make the investment to get, like, the deluxe, like, one. Those spinny ones have to be a discount. They have to be. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay extra to look straight forward.
I just snorted on your show. That's great. Okay. So then I'm just like, what? He's like, yeah, we should get to the movie. I'm like, no, let's smoke more because I can't handle this. Anyway. And so we went to go see Shrek. Obviously I got popcorn because I was like, I'm going to have to throw up that lamb gyro.
Yes.
Got the popcorn, went in the thing, and I just passed out.
Damn.
I think my like freeze, flight, or fright or whatever was freeze, flight,
fight or flight response.
Whatever. Yeah, Thank you, Emma.
Yes.
I think I passed out. I just couldn't. The adrenaline was too high, and I fell asleep. And I'll never forget him like shaking me and trying to. He's like the movie. To this day, I've never seen Shrek. He like wakes me up. He's like, "Hey, like let me drive you home." And I was like, "Nope, I can
Not
take
with that eye." Right.
I was like, don't trust that roly-poly eye.
Right.
After dark, I'm good. And I never, ever, ever went back to that corner store again.
I feel for that guy with the eye, though. And the thing is for you, it's like, what are you supposed to say also? Because it's like, oh, I don't want to make you feel bad. But, I mean, I don't know. If I'm trying to think if I had a roly eye, I'm so neurotic. I don't know. I'd be like, giving everybody a heads up that I know, that they know, that it's rolling around. I don't know what the right thing for him to do is, you know, whatever he's comfortable with.
I've never told that story before. There's my
I'm
first. That's
honored.
my first real date.
I'm
I'm
honored.
so sorry. I am the worst guest. I'm not answering any of your questions.
Don't be silly.
Steamrolling you with roly-poly eye stories.
Not at all. Don't be silly. It's always so interesting talking to someone that hosts shows a lot, because when you start hosting stuff, it does make you think of things differently. Ever since I started hosting, it started making me be very critical of myself when I'm a guest on something. So that's interesting to hear you.
You were fantastic. Actually,
I appreciate that. You're fantastic though. So,
well,
but
thank you.
It's like when you are used to hosting, you're always like, but only since I've only been doing something on my own recently, it makes you start to look at things very differently.
Got it. Well, you were lovely as a guest on our show. I was like, damn, she's a fucking pro.
I appreciate it.
There's your, when you go out to press for this episode, you can say you have the exclusive first date story from Liz Culley with the role. I don't even know what that guy's name is. I know it wasn't. Oh, Lord.
I mean, having to meet someone's parents alone on the first date, I've never had that, and I've had some weird dates. Like that alone would be like. Were your parents strict? Like, would they ask you a lot of questions? Like, where are you going? What are you doing? Did you have to, like,
my parents were like, who knows where they were. By the time I was born, they were like, you cool? You know where the water's at? I'm like, what? Yeah, they don't.
What's your relationship with them now like?
Well,
I feel you.
I'm in a lot of therapy.
Good for you.
Thank you. And I'm married to a therapist.
Really?
Yeah, my wife is a therapist.
I dated a therapist for about a year, an art therapist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. What kind of therapy does your wife do?
She's an MFT. So just like marriage, family, everything. She doesn't specialize.
Oh, I didn't know that's what MFT stood for, but that's good to know.
Marriage, family, therapist.
Okay, that's good to know. I never ask when someone says what type of therapy, because I think like I should know. They're like, I'm a TTW. I'm like, oh, great.
I know.
Kittens or whatever.
Great. Exactly.
But that's cool that she does that. It made me, dating a therapist made me respect a therapist so much, you know, because I remember I used to be, I don't know if you found this, but I used to always be like, why is it so expensive though? Like, I'd be like, but it's $200. And like, why is it so expensive? And then when I was in a relationship with a therapist, I was like, oh, they have this overhead. They have that overhead. They have all this stuff. So the markup, when you look at all they have to pay out and that they're trying to finagle with the companies, is actually reasonable for what they're doing.
Well, and the school. I mean, she was in entertainment before. And so I was with her while she went through getting her master. I mean, it's a lot. And it's like always ongoing. So yeah, she does a lot. So yeah, my relationship, you know, I had to work really hard at a relationship with my dad. When I came back from boarding school in the new school, I made a concerted effort to be closer to my dad. My dad's like a older, like literally grew up in the middle of bumfuck New Zealand.
Right.
Like, all right, you're all right. Okay, keep it moving. You're like, whoa. Like, he's like just fucking doing, he's very smart, but he wasn't very, you know, emotional or you know what I mean? It just, he wasn't. But my dad and I are actually quite close. He forced my ass out of the closet, which is crazy. Yeah, when I was like 27, he looked at me, he's like, you're not like ugly. I was like, ugly? What? He's like, yeah, haven't had a boyfriend in a while. I'm like, I have a girlfriend. He's like, that's all right. That doesn't surprise me. And he was really like pragmatic about it. He's like, all right, like you have one life to live. Like you should live that life. My mom is tough because I think my mom wanted me to be somebody that I'm not. I look a lot like my mom. And so I think my mom projected, look, this is where we're going to get some therapy terms in here. I think she projected a lot of the things that she wanted for herself onto me. My mom also is.
Did she push you in the direction of acting?
No.
No.
Let me tell you, I was very resentful to them for a long time, but I was on some like track to be a little like kid actor.
Right.
My
and that's what you wanted.
That's what I wanted. And my parents were like, abso-fucking-lutely not. We have full-time jobs. Like, get out of here.
Right.
Because it is a lot on parents, like taking kids to auditions and all that stuff. So no, they were not really very supportive. And I also, I mean, I don't know what you found Googling me, but I sang for a really long time.
Yes,
and
of course
I had a band. Okay.
Of course, yeah.
And I think they were just like, why do you sound like that? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm kicking it with Too Short.
Right.
I'm just kidding. But
what, they mad that you got a little soul? What are you?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, and then they really supported it. They're just very weird. I think they wanted me to have, I mean, I know for my mom, she wanted me to marry what I have now deemed for Taylor Strecker is called a Chad, which is like a white dude with a lot of money.
Right.
So I think my mom was just like, I don't understand. Like, you're going to marry a rich white guy and that'll be the end of it. Like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, that was your track. And I'm like, girl, I tried, Jane. It didn't work. So yeah, I think my relationship with my mom is very tough, and it's like
Are your parents together?
Yes.
Oh, they are? They're still together. Oh, wow.
Yeah, big time.
And did your mom work?
Yeah.
She did.
She's a travel agent.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you think? So what she wanted you to do was marry wealthy and then kind of do that whole thing?
Yeah.
Huh.
100%.
But she was at your wedding with your wife. Did she go to it?
She was at my wedding. She told me she didn't like my dress and she hated my flowers about an hour before we got married.
I mean, are statements like that from parents? Are they in cahoots with the therapist lobby? Like, what is going on? You know,
That's funny. Yeah,
I seriously wonder. I mean, my mom will say certain things where I'm just like, what are you like? I'm trying to think what she's talking about. I mean, okay, so recently she met my girlfriend. My girlfriend is really nice, and my girlfriend helped her like clean some like grout out of something in Cape Cod. So my mom is now like, well, I like Ashley. I don't know what's wrong with my children. Like, you've never helped me clean grout. I'm like, I've never.
Oh, Ashley.
But it's just like and you mentioned, so your mom is waspy, you would say?
Crazy waspy.
Very hard to give a compliment. I mean, truly. I mean, it's like maybe her love language is nitpicking. I don't know if that even.
Yeah. Oh, I like that's actually accurate. Yeah. I mean, I was so thin at my wedding that my dress actually didn't fit. Like, it was so big, which a lot of, I know, brides don't have that problem, but it was
Taylor was like, boo fucking who, when I listened to you say that. She was like,
you did listen it the other day. I know.
She goes, boo. But you only had 5 months to get ready for it?
Yeah. And I fucking just went hard in the paint. I also didn't do it like I stopped eating. I actually went to a nutritionist and learned why I have like eating disorders, which, by the way, shocking. It's from acting and auditioning and people telling me I'm fat for my whole life. So I was like, okay, makes sense. But no, I did it like the right way, which I'm really glad I invested in like nutrition and health in that way. But yeah, I was working out. I worked out with the NBA. I worked out in the NBA training gym.
How'd you even get yourself in there?
My buddy trains there. He's a trainer, and he was like, come on in. So it would be like me and then like Usher and like Kevin Hart and then NBA trainers.
I think Usher's cool. Usher is cool. You should Google Usher.
Is
he not cool? Look, I know. Look. I know about I've read a couple rumors with the like syphilis or something. I need to do more of a deep dive. I'll do more of a deep dive.
But that's amazing. Yeah,
I'll do more of a deep dive. That's not, and especially.
No, but Usher's cool. I talk shit to all those guys because they'd always want to play mumble rap in the gym, and I'd be like, absolutely not.
Did you find a surprising number of them were in the closet?
You mean the people at the gym?
Those guys like Usher, like music, like men in music.
Well, I think they're still in the closet, but it doesn't surprise me. But yeah, there's a lot of black men in the closet. But I love Dave Chappelle. I don't know if you saw when he says, he's like, well, like, we're in Atlanta, like all of y'all are just like gay or whatever he says. I'm like paraphrasing. I could never tell a Dave Chappelle joke properly, but effectively he like looks at the room and he's like, well, yeah, like all of you guys are gay in the closet. And I fucking died. I mean, that was just so funny.
He got a lot of flack for it was a very thin line of people were reacting to him and people were interpreting some stuff that he said as transphobic. And actually,
I read that.
Was very interesting. And I read, and then I think he included in one of his specials, someone saying like, hey, no, it feels good to be included because of the way I actually really admired him, like walking us through his process and where he's at with it, and didn't think that it felt malicious. But I was at a comedy club and he had dropped by, and in order to go to the bathroom, you have to go through the showroom. He's on, I'm standing there in the hallway, and then there's security and there's someone running it, and a person who I don't know for sure, but was very visually identifiable as male to female, just going off of looks, like very much so, starts walking down the stairs, and The security guy was like, ma'am, the bathroom is closed, but I can show you where to go. I'll walk you to another one. And he was like, I didn't know if she was going to feel uncomfortable with Chappelle being on. So the idea, and I was like, actually, I do not think he's transphobic at all. I think that was a misunderstanding.
Yeah, I don't know Dave Chappelle personally. I've been to his shows, and he used to live in San Francisco with his wife. Now they live in somewhere else.
Ohio. Yeah. I didn't know that.
And he lived in the Mission. I definitely smoked. Well, I didn't smoke the weed. He was smoking, but I was in this kind of like group of people outside of a club called Ruby Sky in San Francisco. I don't even know if that exists still. And he was there, and he always seemed like super cool. I don't think Dave Chappelle gives a singular fuck. I think he's like,
fuck.
I don't know. I'm a huge fan. So
I'm a huge fan too. When you started doing acting as a kid, what tipped you off to want to do that?
I don't know. I think I just always liked performing. I think it was maybe making fun of all my parents' friends and impersonating them. I really loved Full House.
Oh, of course. Oh my God.
I really wanted to be DJ Tanner. I thought that was cool.
I loved Full House. What were the auditions like? Because I couldn't even imagine doing an audition as a kid. It's hard enough as an adult.
I don't remember a lot of it. I was really young, so I don't remember a lot of it. It was a lot of theater for me as well. And that I could memorize things very, very, very easily. I don't know what it would be like now, but I was it's like the same thing with songs. Like I always used to be, I could hear a song a couple times and remember it. So I think that like, it's almost like in therapy, actually. It's crazy. It's almost like a time memory where I'll be like, all right, well, thank you for the session. And the therapist is like, how the fuck did you know that this is over? And it's like, well, because I kind of know the script. You know what I mean? It's I think that's what it was like. So I don't really remember auditioning as a kid. And then I stopped acting for a while. I did it in high school. And
were you like, I don't want to do this anymore? Or what was going through your head? Because stopping is a hard thing when you put so much into it.
Well, in high school, I got into a huge fight with my drama teacher, and he kicked me off of the play like 2 days before we went live.
Motherfucker.
Because I was stuck in a snowstorm in New York seeing a guy that I was dating because I was a junior or a senior in high school, and he was in college. I always went older, Emma. I was always like eyes on the prize. I was like, get these fucking kids away from me. And
get it.
I missed an audition because I was stranded in Penn Station waiting for the fucking Amtrak to take me back to Springfield, Massachusetts, and I couldn't get on a train. And back then, like, we did not have cell phones.
Right.
Like, I couldn't just, like, whip out my fucking laptop. I didn't have a laptop. I went to boarding school.
Was it an audition that he got you? Why was he so invested in the audition?
No, it was the play. It wasn't an audition. Sorry, it was a rehearsal. So he was like, fuck you. You missed too many of these.
Right.
And I was like, well, fuck you.
Right.
I was like, well, fuck you. You're fucking the chemistry teacher. And he was like, don't talk to me like that. And I was like, don't talk to me like that. And then he was like, you're out. And then I didn't act for a while. And then when I came back to San Francisco, I was singing still and doing my thing. And then when I came back to San Francisco after 2 years in New York, I did a shit ton of commercials. And that's really, I think, when people say, like, I want to go to LA and be an actor. I mean, I'm sure you know this as well. It's like, you're not really, like, in your craft.
Right.
You're like, hi, I'm like Elise from the AT&T store. You're like begging for fucking AT&T commercials.
Right.
And like, you're not, the only huge auditions I ever really did in LA, because I ended up stopping acting because being called like not thin enough, I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's really, so also what this is when you go in an audition, you're responding to a breakdown, and the breakdown is literally a breakdown of how people see you to be and what you would qualify. They're just breaking down what they think you are. So then they say, we want, butch lesbian 300. Like, that's something I've gone in for before. But then I've also gone in for I literally Korean thug too. So it gets very weird sometimes, but I think that's because I fall into kind of a gray area with some auditions too. Right. If they really open it up and looking for quirky, it'll be like, but if you have a more traditional look, then it gets meaner and meaner, especially the more feminine you are. That's when it starts getting ripped.
Then they would say my voice is too low. Then they would say this and that. And really when I stopped, which was about like 6-7 years ago, it was before like Kardashian. It was before like, body positivity. Meanwhile, I am not a big person, actually.
Not at all.
Like
right.
a size 4, like 2'4", you know what I mean? And so I just couldn't fucking get thin enough. And I look back on it and I wish I was as thin as I was back then right now, because I'd be like out here in the streets. I would literally walk to Erewhon right now in a fucking bikini.
I love Erewhon.
Tell all these bitches to go suck a fucking bag of dicks. I'd be like, look at me. But
good thing that's not, you look great now. And also good thing it's not the case, because that maybe wouldn't be a good thing for yourself. Be like, Liz is walking down the street telling everyone to go suck a bag of dicks. Like no one, you know what I mean?
I'm definitely, Emma, unfortunately, that will likely happen no matter what I look like or what size I am.
Right.
So yeah, I think, the only big auditions I really had was Community, Parks and Rec, because it was like this one casting director that liked me. And then, actually, you know what I read for was Ray Donovan.
Oh, sure.
Did you ever watch that show?
No, but that's what I'm 99.9% sure that's what I auditioned to be a Korean thug for, to be, I'm positive, actually. Yeah.
Okay. So I finally in the quarantine watched the episode of the girl that, there's no way they would have picked me for it, but it was this like drugged out kind of like Lindsay Lohan type. And that's what I auditioned for. But anyway, and I stopped, and that's when I started to write and produce and do other things. And, I don't know. I think, who knows?
What happened?
Acting stopped.
What happened when you were working at MySpace? Why did MySpace just go away? Like it was it was everywhere. I feel like it could have adapted to some other shit.
It did. Okay.
Where'd it go?
Status. I know. Okay. So I went and worked at MySpace in the 3rd iteration of MySpace.
Okay.
So MySpace originally was on and poppin'. Then Fox bought
on
MySpace.
And poppin'. Remember how poppin' MySpace was?
MySpace was poppin'.
MySpace was fucking poppin', because MySpace was before Facebook. The music on it, MySpace was like, MySpace was the shit.
So then MySpace sold to Fox.
Right.
And got even bigger. And then it kind of started to die out with Facebook.
Right.
Then a tech company by the name of Specific Media came and bought them. And Justin Timberlake was a huge investor of Specific Media. So Justin Timberlake kind of attached himself to the, quote, new MySpace.
Okay.
They hired Karl Lagerfeld from Chanel's like creative team. They hired my old boss. His name is Joseph Patel. He was at MTV and Vice for a really long time. He, quote, technically took like I actually just talked to him the other day. He took kind of like a chance on me because he was just like, I had met a friend who actually, now that girl runs production at Embassy Row, which is where Darren Karp and I have our podcast. She met me in a bar. I was bartending. I was so fucking broke up on Sunset. And Aziz Ansari and my friend came in. And I didn't know that show, Parks and Rec. I didn't know who Aziz was.
Right.
But all these people kept being weird to him. And I don't know. I was like cracking jokes and doing whatever. And they're like, they were very nice. They complimented me and said I was funny. And they're like, we should hang out. I'm like, all right, cool. So we like hung out the next day.
But I don't know. Dream story. Like that is why someone would go to LA, to be in the vicinity, and then you don't know what's going to happen. So sometimes you picture things need to happen in a certain way, but that's a reason to put yourself in that, to just be in the area.
Yeah. So I always say they Captain Save-A-Ho'd me, but I went and we had dinner at Aziz's house.
Wow.
Like 2 days later, I'm still like, this is weird. Also, like, side note, I love Aziz. I love his brother, Anis. Shout out if you're listening to Emma's show.
Didn't he?
But like,
didn't he say he was a comedian at some point?
Well, no, I like figured, like my friend was like, by the way, like, you know who that is, right? And I was like, no, who is that? They're like,
oh, you must have been saying some funny jokes.
I had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Who he was. I was like, okay, cool. But then he's very, very, very shy. And he also really likes rap music, especially Bay Area rap music. So I don't know. I have like a very different vibe on him. Like Aziz is lovely. I've been to Thanksgiving at his house. I mean, he's like great, right? Like whatever. But I had no fucking idea. So that girl, Sarni, who's like one of my best friends, who I actually fought with this 30 minutes ago. That's how.
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
She's from Maine.
Really?
Yeah, she's from Portland, Maine.
Sure. Also, when you can fight with a friend, that really is an extreme level of closeness, because like I have a friend, Julie, and we've had 2 or 3 disagreements, but then to work through that and be even closer, that's a true friendship.
All I do is fight with her. So
Right.
I guess we're really close.
Right.
So anyway, so she was like, dude, why do you work in a fucking bar? I'm like, well, I've been laid off from this advertising gig, whatever. And she's like, I know this sounds crazy, but I just got hired by Justin Timberlake's team to work at MySpace. And I was like, MySpace? Isn't MySpace dead? Like, who even gives a fuck about MySpace? And then I went in for the interview. I got hired as a branded content producer.
Had you done branded content before?
They thought so.
God bless entertainment. See, that's the thing with media and all that stuff. It gets so shady. It's like, oh, they're a social media guru. And you're like, according to like Gandhi, like who granted them guru status?
Well, granted, I had actually before that, I had worked for Randy Gerber and George Clooney for their tequila brand called Casamigos.
Oh, okay.
I did like all their social media. I was a hustler. I was like not just bartend. I was doing 1,000 fucking things to like survive. Totally. So I definitely had written, I'd gone to journalism school. Like I had written a couple of, I wrote a play. I was like, fine. I had worked in advertising and advertising copy. Like I somewhat could do the job. But anyway, I got hired and I worked with the most incredible fucking people that now are, have gone on to do insane things. We had a dream team. And to be honest with you, Emma, no one just gave a fuck about MySpace anymore because of Facebook. We produced the most incredible content. That was the most exhausting and the most fun job I've ever had. I hosted the X Games for 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
Like I did so much cool shit that no one will ever see, but I don't know. That's kind of what happened with MySpace. And then it's not around anymore.
Nailed It came out. Nailed It was a show that you produced and hosted.
Oh, Getting Nailed. Yeah.
Getting Nailed. Nailed is but Getting Nailed is, the production quality on that was fantastic.
Thank you. I produced that show.
I know. Congratulations. Who's your favorite celebrity interview?
Too Short was great on that show, but it was a bad interview.
Was it? Why was it bad?
Because he was like, he was just trying to holler. I was like, fucking Todd.
But he was your buddy before that, right?
I know. Yeah, but he was just being weird.
You think he was doing that? I think sometimes guys do that as a defense mechanism when they're friend with a girl. If like other people are around, it's like, no, but see, I'm still trying to
100%.
Yeah.
I think the best interview on that show was Bonnie McKee, who is a close friend, who's great. She's a singer-songwriter. That's a great show. It's that here. And another thing for the audience that is entertainment, I have sold that show, Emma, 1,000,000 times. I have sold that show to every fucking network. Everyone has owned Getting Nailed, and I've never been able to make it again because it gets sold and then like Time Warner would buy or like Viacom would buy, and then it would just get shelved and shelved and shelved and shelved, or like whatever, or like my contract would run out, or COVID would fucking happen, or I actually had sold it as an after show to another show that you may or may not have just kind of mentioned, and then that show got canceled. Like it's just, it sucks. That poor show, that's my baby. I wish I could, Getting Nailed, I wish I could do it. It's a talk show about nail art.
And they'll let you keep bringing. You own the intellectual property of it, so you can keep bringing it to other places. That's good, at least.
I learned that. I learned about intellectual property at a young age.
Yes, because what happens is if she didn't have that, then it'd be like, this isn't happening, and it's never happening, and they'd rather just keep it and nothing happens with it than allow you to go out and sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, where can people? Oh wait, I have one other question. How did you and Darren meet?
Through Sarnie.
Okay, so Darren Karp is who Liz co-hosts her podcast with.
I have a podcast called Scissoring Isn't a Thing. Emma will be on it soon.
And also Darren's ex-girlfriend dated my girlfriend. Because of course. But
of course, the lesbian
what's her ex-girlfriend's name? Caitlin? No, okay. So we have a connection with someone that Darren dated also dated my girlfriend.
Exactly.
Even though my girlfriend and Darren are very different. But you know.
Yeah, but lesbian, we've all fucking scissor kicked at some point. So, also I'm dead that you're friends with Amanda Seales, who I actually tried to get on Getting Nailed because at one point I had sold it to ABC. And do you know Tommy Crump, casting director?
Mm-mm.
She's like casting and development. She's at NBC. She's great. You should know her.
I maybe met her. I did so many fucking general meetings after Crazy Ex-Girlfriend that I now kind of regret because I'm looking back on it like, when you go into general meeting, it just I feel like in entertainment, you have the most amount of heat before you do the thing. Before the thing airs and you've got the thing, that's when everyone wants to meet you because there's the anticipation of the thing. No one gives a fuck about the thing. No one knows what's going on. So they're just trying to invest in case you pop off. Then they can say they met you right before it. Yep. And these general meetings it took me about a year of going on them where I was like, what am I doing? And then when I had friends that worked in production companies, they're like, the truth is, it's like you go in and entertain us while we get paid. And like, it's
literally an hour of comedy that you just gave.
Yes, you're shucking and jiving for them. If you're going to go on a pitch meeting, that's totally different than these stupid fucking, I'm trying not to feel resentful towards parts of entertainment, but fuck those meetings.
Well, me too. But Tommy is somebody I met in a general, and
Love
actually I met Tommy and RJ. You should know RJ too. I'll introduce you to RJ.
These names sound familiar.
RJ Larossi. Now he's head of casting at Nickelodeon, which is fucking crazy. But anyway, so I went in for a general, and then I ended up becoming like personal friends with them. But Tommy is very good friends with Amanda Seales, and this is years ago.
Sure.
I tried to book. I actually DM'd Amanda on Facebook, on her private Facebook, and was like, "Will you please come on the show?" And she was like, "Kick rocks," and I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Did she actually say that, or did she just not get back to you?
She didn't get back to me, but it felt like she was saying.
Yeah, she probably just didn't. So Amanda and I used to live near each other. So we
got it.
Which we met before we figured out that we lived near each other. We met at some awards show, and she just started doing comedy, and we were talking about musicians, and she was talking about this musician that she was talking about how Busta Rhymes like was bisexual or gay, and I'm like, no way, like no fucking way.
Okay. Love that. Okay.
I was like, there's no way. And then we were just talking about different people that were on the down low, and I was like, but that made sense, but I was like, but not Busta Rhymes. And if he is gay, I hope he's not a top, because he's fucking tearing that ass up like on another fucking, like, can you imagine Busta Rhymes?
He's just sending dudes to the hospital.
Just having sex in the ER, because that's where they're going to end up. But so that's how we started becoming friends. Then we figured out we lived near each other. And I mean, she had been a child actress, and then actress, VJ, all this stuff. And then when we met, it was in between all that stuff. And I remember like we had a podcast we were trying to do, and no one would take it on. And this wasn't that long ago. This is like 5 years ago. I had a college agent, and he started working with her. And then I remember I had some manager, and she went and met with them, and she didn't like them either, but they were like, we don't get it. And I was like, I really think she's a star. And then, but it's so important to remember that process too, because you see, everything she's done, she's created. I can say that with 100%. She has not, every single thing, she made it. Like even going to LA, she made that web series. She got the funding. She's calling friends. Can you donate 10, 20, 30? She did every single thing. So it's pretty incredible to see what she's done.
I know, she's really great. But anyway, I think in that lapse, way before Insecure, I asked her to come on Getting Nailed, and
I bet she didn't see it. I bet she just didn't see
fine.
it. I bet that's what it was. But
anyway, I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah.
Oh, I asked how you and Darren knew each other.
Oh, sorry. Jesus.
No,
so,
please.
Sarni, who Captain Savahoed me from bartending with Aziz, she got a job at Embassy Row. Embassy Row produces Watch What Happens Live.
Right.
And Andy Cohen's assistant is Darren Karp. And you'll understand this, Emma, but Sarni was like, oh my God, you have to meet this girl, Darren Karp. You guys are going to love each other. I'm like, why are we going to love each other?
Right.
And not because I don't like to meet new people, but kind of for the reason that you just said, general meetings are like so annoying. I was just like, dude, I'm happy to meet new people, but I'm like old. I'm also like discarding old friends these days. Like, I'm like, you know what? This relationship no longer serves me. Get the fuck out of here. So technically I have room for new friends, but I just need to make sure they're good new friends. So
the level of relatable that is, you're like, I gotta fucking do this and that and schlep over here and over there. Like, what's the return on investment here? Because it's not just about having a good random night. I'm not open to adventure. I want to know what's the fucking plan.
So we go to the meeting at Cicconi's, so LA. She sits down. I'm like, oh, well, she's a fucking lesbian.
Right.
That's why you want me to meet her. Right. And I was like, dude, I'm like married. I'm not even like trying to fuck anyone, like whatever. You know what I'm saying?
You think she's trying to set you guys up?
Well, no, she knows better. Because it was just weird. It was just one. It's like straight people being like, oh, you're both gay. You'll get along.
Right.
So we did actually get along, but they had been, so I had kind of mentioned earlier in the interview that I used to work for a big beauty festival. So I knew kind of the ins and outs of building a larger festival. And they actually had an idea for what is now BravoCon. So I have to give credit where credit's due. So they were kind of asking me logistic question. Like, I was like, are you here to just pick my brain? What's up? And then while we were in the meeting or in the lunch, Sarni was like, you know what? I'm also really bringing you guys together to see if you have chemistry, because we also really kind of want to do a project with the two. Like, Embassy Row wants to do something with either of you. Well, and actually they already had the selling rights to Getting Nailed. So they were like, we're, doing Getting Nailed, but like, Darren, what do you want to do? And I think because, if I'm being honest, one, Darren's great, but also, Darren is in an interesting position because she's super tied to Andy.
Sure.
But then she's also like an employee, I think, technically, of Watch What Happens Live.
She does so much. It's extremely impressive that she can hold that all together and do that many things. It's very impressive.
But Watch What Happens Live is also an Embassy Row production. So I think, and if you guys have any idea how annoying it is to like get deals done, I think they were kind of like, this is the best, you know what I mean? Like, we want to do something with Darren. It'll probably be the easiest for us to do it under Embassy Row, because we already have a relationship with her. Do you guys want to do something? And I was like, okay, I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And then we started talking. And in that lunch meeting, we started turning on Sarni and making fun of her. Like, oh, you fucking put the two gay people together.
Right. She's like, I didn't even know you were gay. And you're like,
I think it was actually Darren who said, like, what, are you going to ask us if like scissoring is a fucking thing? Like, oh my God, whatever. And I said, why don't we do a show where we talk about that? I go, you and I are in a weird, unique position where we know a lot of people in the industry, gay and straight. And why don't we ask them about, I don't know, gay stuff? And the other thing is, like, both of us are gay, but we're not like gay.
Right. Reclaiming that. Thank God, she must have only said she wanted to see if you guys had chemistry after she knew you guys had chemistry, because imagine how fucking awkward it would have been if you guys had no fucking chemistry and she was like, I wanted to see if you had chemistry to do a project, and then you both had to like turn it on real quick and
dip out. I know. Yeah, but Darren's great. She's younger than me. It's like, she's younger than me. We're totally different. We literally could not be more different. We have completely different political views. We have different tastes in music. I mean, picking the music for the intro of the podcast.
Who likes what?
She likes like white people shit.
Like Dave Matthews Band? I like
rock. She likes hardcore rock.
Really? See, I like really crappy 90s pop music, and then I also like this is what I like. I know, isn't it? I love like Danity Kane, but I love
Danity Kane. Wait, that I stood in line to audition for Making the Band?
No, that's amazing.
That band, Danity Kane.
Thank God you didn't end up doing it though, because that seems like those girls went through hell.
Sure, but like they're all a mess. I mean, that Aubrey O'Day. Woof, honey.
Yep.
What do they say? Bless her heart.
Bless her heart. Aubrey O'Day. I mean, I love that music, but I also love that's why I also love like really poppy. That's why I like Too Short's like
Blow the Whistle.
Blow the Whistle. What was it? Get Hyphy. What was that? I know what was
that? Oh, you mean you're talking about E40.
But Too Short did a verse on E40's song that I liked as well. It was one of it was whatever it was, Too Short was a guest on it, and he had a great guest verse on it.
He was a great guest verse. He has good guest verse.
I think it was one of the remix. Oh, I mean, I love Blow the Whistle though. But it was one of the ones. Oh, it was when the Bay was like popping, had like the resurgence.
Yeah, 2005. That's
right, and E40 had another like big hit come through.
Ride the Whip.
Yes, and and then but Too Short did a guest verse on one of those, and he was like, he killed that. He killed it.
My favorite Too Short song, and actually he yelled at me for this because he's like, well, what's your favorite song of mine? And I love The World Is Filled with Pimps and Hoes, which is a Notorious B.I.G. song that he has a verse on. And that I was like, well, fine, fuck you. The best verse, that's what I like. Right. I like it more than Blow the Whistle.
Right.
But yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, they put us together and it worked. And it's interesting to do a show, I have to tell you, because typically I would just be the host with like a guest.
Sure.
And so I've never co-hosted anything with anybody in my life. And so it's been interesting. But yeah, she wanted rock music. But the good thing about Darren is that she really doesn't have time. So she just, and I'm type A and a control freak. So she kind of just lets me do what I need to do.
That's a great, that can be, I get along very well with people that are type A because of that dynamic. Like Amanda is actually very type A. So I worked for her. She had a show that didn't get picked up on VH1 and I had a great experience working with her. And I was like, Amanda is not hard to work with. She's just very type A. Because she's had to be, especially if you're doing, I wish I could be more type A. I wish. Like I know it's hard for the type A people because they sometimes maybe feel trapped. Yeah. But I wish I had like a little.
And are you writing, when you say you were working with her, were you writing on the show?
Yeah, it was this show called Pop Capsule and I've never really wanted to be, it was like I was doing like research for it. I never wanted to be a writer on a show, but because it was something that she was doing that I was actually, it was a really interesting experience, but yeah, I was writing on it. And then I think I got like designated to research because I think I was like researching, I was like doing Kardashian jokes all day. And then at a certain point they're like, all right, Emma, why don't you go like research stuff in a corner or something like that?
So the Kardashian, I can't. Can't do it.
But it's also like it was when Amber Rose was really big, and it was like supposed to be about pop culture. So every day we'd go in and be like, what Amber Rose and the Kardashians do today?
Yeah.
And after a couple weeks of that, you start being like, sometimes they don't do anything. You know what I mean?
God, and too bad for you, Amber Rose hadn't tattooed her face yet.
Didn't even know about that, but do you remember Black China?
She literally tattooed her face.
No, I didn't know about that. Oh, that is too bad for me.
Her beautiful fucking forehead is tattooed. It is you have to be either so rich or so beautiful or have an extreme meth addiction to fucking tattoo your face or your neck, in my opinion.
I completely agree. There's you'd have to be if it's the rich end, you sold your fucking startup to Silicon Valley for $2 billion and like you're beyond you make money at
Amber Rose is pretty rich, but I don't think she's that rich.
So she must have had
your face rich. Woo-hoo.
Did she?
It's a lot.
Was it after her breakup with 21 Savage?
It was after the breakup with 21 Savage, which was like a bummer, even though I whatever.
Bad vibes,
but she's with the Bay Area guy, who does A&R in the Bay Area. And they have a kid together. Yeah. These are the things I know. I don't know. I'm an avid World Star hip hop reader.
I haven't looked at that in years.
But it's the same. It's the same as it was.
It's just those when I was attracted to, when I thought I wanted to do music, I thought I wanted to do hip hop actually, but do A&R for it. This is like years ago, but I was very interested in that world. And then I interned at the State House and someone was like, how can you be interested in music and politics? And I was like, it's the same thing. I was like, a guest verse on someone's album, bringing in a new person, is an older congressman or woman co-signing. They're on the campaign trail for them. This is who I'm presenting. Co-sign, then you hit me back with this. It's all the same shit, but rap is more transparent with it because they're literally speaking what's going on, kind of about the same ratio of truth to fucking politics, because a lot of them are, doing the Bow Wow challenge. Bow Wow challenge. But
Bow Wow challenge.
Bow Wow challenge. Okay, so where can people find you online and where can they find your podcast?
Okay. Well, and thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for doing it.
Of course. I'm Listen to Liz everywhere.
Listen to Liz.
And that's just what it is. And then every Tuesday we drop a Scissoring Isn't a Thing. And then on Tuesdays, I'm also, I have 1 hour on the Taylor Strecker Show for now, so there you go, which is really fun, actually.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. And also, I want to let you know that I watched that Turdy Works.
Oh, you did?
I did watch when she does stand-up.
Oh, yeah.
I watched that clip.
Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.